Hey, welcome to World Mind Hub. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for more updates. June 16, 2025. A date that will soon be etched into the history books, as the world's attention turns to the simmering tensions in Southeast Asia. A storm brews in Southeast Asia, not of weather but of warships, threats, and national pride. The air is thick with uncertainty and the horizon is crowded with vessels from rival nations, each one a symbol of ambition and defiance. The Philippines, a nation of more than 7,000 islands, stands at the very center of this tempest. Its people are no strangers to adversity, but the challenges they now face are unlike any before. To the west, China asserts its claim over nearly the entire South China Sea, drawing lines on maps that cut through international waters and the livelihoods of countless others. To the southwest, Malaysia holds Sabah, a territory rich in resources and history, one that the Philippines also claims as its own, fueling a dispute that stretches back generations. This is more than a dispute over maps or maritime boundaries. It's a fight for survival, sovereignty, and the right to determine one's own future. Every claim, every protest, every negotiation is a battle for dignity and existence. The world watches as tensions escalate, with diplomats and journalists scrambling to make sense of the rapidly changing situation. The eyes of the globe are fixed on this region, knowing that what happens here could shape the future of international order. Chinese Coast Guard ships ram Filipino fishing boats, sending shockwaves through coastal communities and igniting outrage across the Philippines. Philippine naval vessels patrol contested waters, outnumbered but resolute, their crews determined to defend their nation's sovereignty against overwhelming odds. Malaysian jets scramble near disputed borders, their presence a stark reminder that the skies are as contested as the seas below. These are not random incidents. They're calculated moves in a high-stakes chess match, where every decision could tip the balance toward peace or catastrophe. For ordinary Filipinos, this is not just foreign policy. It's about food on the table, the safety of their families, and the preservation of a national identity forged by the sea. The Philippines faces two powerful neighbors, China, boasting the world's largest navy, and Malaysia, a prosperous regional force with modern military capabilities. The balance of power is daunting, but the stakes are too high to back down. The odds seem impossible. But the Filipino spirit is resilient, forged through centuries of struggle against colonizers, dictators, and natural disasters. History has shown that this nation does not yield easily. Now that spirit faces its greatest test yet, as the nation stands on the brink of a conflict that could redefine its future. Will diplomacy prevail, or will the gathering storm break into open conflict? The world holds its breath, hoping for peace but preparing for the worst. We're on the ground to bring you this special report, capturing the voices and stories of those living at the heart of the crisis. We'll hear from fishermen who've lost their livelihoods, families whose futures hang in the balance, and communities struggling to adapt to a new reality. We'll speak with leaders making life or death decisions, weighing the risks of confrontation against the hope for a diplomatic breakthrough. We'll analyze the strategies and history behind this crisis, exploring how past conflicts and unresolved grievances have led us to this critical moment. The territorial showdown has begun, and its outcome will ripple across the globe, affecting trade, security, and the balance of power for years to come. This is a story that affects us all, no matter where we live. The gathering storm in Southeast Asia is not just a regional crisis, it's a global turning point. The Philippines faces battles on two fronts, each testing the nation's resolve and unity in different ways. In the West Philippine Sea, China's sweeping 9-dash line overlaps the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, swallowing resource-rich waters and vital fishing grounds. Filipino fishermen who have relied on these seas for generations now find themselves blocked or harassed by foreign vessels. The struggle here is not just about territory but about livelihoods, food security, and the right to exist in one's own waters. To the southwest, the Sabah dispute with Malaysia is rooted in the legacy of the Sultanate of Sulu, which once controlled parts of Borneo. The echoes of colonial-era agreements and historical claims continue to shape modern diplomacy, making the issue deeply personal for many Filipinos with ancestral ties to the region. Malaysia claims Sabah as its own, while the Philippines insists sovereignty was never truly transferred. This disagreement has led to diplomatic tensions, protests, and ongoing debates about national identity and justice. The West Philippine Sea is about maritime rights and resisting a superpower. Sabah is about history, identity, and the legacy of colonialism. Both disputes are deeply emotional, touching on questions of who belongs and who decides the fate of these lands and waters. Both disputes stretch the Philippines' resources thin, forcing it to confront two neighbors from a position of relative weakness. The military, Coast Guard, and diplomats are constantly on alert, balancing defense with dialogue. The fight at sea is daily and visible. The Sabah claim simmers in the background, but both are crucial to the nation's future. Every day, ordinary Filipinos feel the impact, whether through lost income, uncertainty, or national pride. For many Filipinos, these are not just legal arguments, they're about heritage, survival, and justice. The stories are passed down through generations, fueling a sense of unity and purpose. The Philippines must navigate both with limited means and high stakes. The outcome will shape not only its borders, but its identity and future as a nation. The South China Sea is a global superhighway. Over a third of world trade passes through these waters. Any conflict here would disrupt supply chains and threaten economies worldwide. Beneath the sea lie vast reserves of oil and gas, coveted by both China and the Philippines. The competition for these resources drives the conflict. The sea is also a vital fishing ground, feeding millions across Southeast Asia. Overfishing and destructive practices have devastated the ecosystem, threatening food security. This is not just a territorial dispute, it's an environmental crisis and a battle for power. For China, control means regional dominance. For the Philippines, it's about sovereignty and survival. The world's eyes are on this crossroads, where trade, energy, and security intersect. The roots of these disputes run deep, stretching back centuries as empires, traders, and fishermen navigated these waters. The South China Sea has long been a crossroads of cultures, commerce, and conflict, with overlapping histories shaping today's tensions. In 1947, China drew the now infamous Nine-Dash Line, claiming historic rights over nearly the entire South China Sea. This sweeping claim is based on old maps and historical narratives, but it lacks a clear legal foundation under modern international law, creating a source of ongoing controversy. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, established in 1982, grants coastal states a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, giving them special rights to resources in these waters. This framework was designed to bring clarity and fairness to maritime boundaries. However, China's sweeping claim cuts directly through the EEZs of the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and other neighbors, leading to overlapping claims and rising tensions. In 2013, frustrated by repeated standoffs, the Philippines took a bold step and challenged China at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, seeking a legal resolution to the dispute. The 2016 ruling was historic. The court sided with the Philippines, declaring China's Nine-Dash Line invalid under international law and affirming the Philippines' rights within its EEZ. Yet, China rejected the ruling outright and instead intensified its activities, rapidly building artificial islands, installing military facilities, and deploying its powerful Coast Guard to assert control. The Philippines may have international law on its side, but China's superior naval presence and economic influence give it the upper hand on the water, creating a dangerous imbalance. This ongoing clash between the principles of international law and the reality of raw power continues to define the South China Sea dispute, with no easy solution in sight. The legal victory remains unenforced, leaving the region in a state of limbo, caught between hope for peaceful resolution and the ever-present risk of escalation. The real danger lies in flashpoints, when disputes turn violent. In 2012, the Scarborough Shoal standoff saw Chinese ships block Filipino fishermen, leading to China's de facto control of the area. Filipino fishermen lost access to traditional grounds, escalating tensions. On land, the 2013 Lahad Datu incident saw armed followers of the Sultanate of Sulu land in Sabah, sparking deadly clashes with Malaysian forces. Dozens died, and the Sabah claim returned to the spotlight, straining relations. These incidents show how quickly disputes can erupt into violence. Today, tense encounters between Chinese and Philippine vessels near Ayungin Shoal risk accidental escalation. A single miscalculation could trigger a wider conflict. Each confrontation is a gamble with peace in the balance. The risk of a new flashpoint is higher than ever. The region remains on edge, one incident away from crisis. Beyond politics, ordinary Filipinos bear the brunt of these disputes. In coastal towns, fishing is a way of life, but Chinese patrols have turned traditional grounds into danger zones. Fishermen face harassment, water cannons, and dwindling catches. Many are forced into poverty, risking their lives for every catch. Families wait anxiously for loved ones to return from the sea. The economic pain ripples through entire communities. Boat builders, vendors, and suppliers all suffer. Young people leave for cities, eroding local culture and tradition. These are civilians caught in a geopolitical crossfire. The conflict isn't just about territory, it's about survival and the loss of a way of life. The human cost is measured in empty nets and broken dreams. The disputes cut deep into the Filipino psyche. For a nation shaped by colonization, sovereignty and pride are sacred. Chinese pressure and the unresolved Sabah claim are seen as assaults on national dignity. News of aggression stirs anger and unity. Atin ito, this is ours, becomes a rallying cry. The underdog narrative unites Filipinos, but also pressures leaders to take a hard line. Economic uncertainty discourages investment, especially in energy. The Philippines can't fully tap its own resources, keeping energy prices high. The conflict's scars are both psychological and economic, shaping the nation's future. The struggle for sovereignty is felt in every home and business. The Philippines is not alone. The United States, bound by a mutual defense treaty, is its key ally, deterring Chinese aggression. Allies like Japan, Australia, and the EU support freedom of navigation and the 2016 arbitral ruling. They increase naval presence and defense cooperation, seeing China's actions as a threat to global order. China, meanwhile, finds support from Russia and some Belt and Road partners, while ASEAN remains divided. Philippine leaders walk a tightrope. Some seek quiet diplomacy, others strengthen alliances and confront China. The central dilemma: how to stand up to a superpower without provoking a war. The right balance between defiance and diplomacy is elusive. International support is crucial, but the Philippines must ultimately chart its own course. The stakes are nothing less than national survival. The Philippines stands at a crossroads. The best hope is diplomacy, building coalitions, pressuring China, and pushing ASEAN for a binding code of conduct. But if talks fail, confrontation looms. More patrols, deeper alliances, and the risk of a single incident spiraling into conflict. Even a small clash could draw in the United States, with global consequences. Another path is strategic balancing, hedging between the US and China, or forging a new regional bloc. For Sabah, quiet diplomacy and joint development may prevent another flashpoint. The stakes: sovereignty, the rule of law, and regional peace. Decisions made now will shape Asia's future for decades. The world watches, as the outcome here will ripple far beyond these shores. The story is far from over.